This is my wonderful, amazing Nan, and this is my childhood bedroom at her house. It's seen a variety of different colours on the wall while I was growing up, from lilac to grey to hot pink and then to white. If you're wondering where my love of painting my room comes from, it stemmed from this bedroom right here, and you might have seen it if you've been on this YouTube channel for a very long time. Since I moved out, this room has become a guest bedroom slash all around rubbishy space, and because I love my Nan dearly, it was time to turn it around for her. So today we're going to do a full room makeover. Let's begin. The thing that kicked off this idea was Nan was actually getting a decorator in to paint the ceilings and the trim. I asked her to hold off on painting the walls so I could do them as part of her birthday present. The decorator finished the ceiling, which was great as I have no upper body strength and I hate painting ceilings. And he also actually ended up removing the grimy 30-year-old carpet so that he could paint the skirting, leaving me one less job to do as we were desperate to get rid of these carpets. As you can tell, the floors are not in brilliant shape, but they were beautiful old pine boards, so I'll be trying to restore them as best as I can later on in this video. I got started by preparing the space. I removed all of the old shelving units and taped around all of the freshly painted skirting boards and architrave to make sure I wasn't going to get paint on them. I am a little bit clumsy, I think we know this by now, so I had to protect all of the fresh paint. Just so you know, you will have to put up with many shots of the back of my head with my 6-month grown out highlights. Thank you, global pandemic, thanks a bunch. So I'm just going to apologise in advance, but I'm rocking it until I can get myself back in the hairdresser's chair. In a few weeks I have an appointment. Yes, so excited. Anyway, just a heads up. With the taping done, I was able to start painting. I'm using this gorgeous colour called Proposal by Benjamin Moore, who have kindly sponsored today's video and supplied me with the paint to make this makeover happen. And there we go, I did a very gracious dipping of the lid into the paint while I was trying to get that shot. Brilliant! Anyway, I'm using Benjamin Moore's Regal Select range, which is a paint with a primer already mixed in, so there's no need to prime the walls. I love how easy this made painting, and spoiler alert, I only needed a coat and a half for full coverage of this room. The half was just for areas where I hadn't been wearing my glasses and I missed a few patches. But I'm so impressed with the coverage, and you'll see how it looks as the video progresses. But as you can see, I started by cutting in with a paintbrush, doing all the lines around the trim, the corners and close to the ceiling. I got this out the way first, then I could enjoy using the roller in the next step and then see the transformation come together really quickly from that point onwards. I love when it all comes together like this. If you're in the UK and you're thinking, oh, I thought Benjamin Moore was a US based product, that was what I was thinking until recently too, but they actually have a store in London and they supply stockists all over the UK. I was able to order my paint from a store in Lymington called Peter Robbins and it arrived within a few days. So I'm really happy to have found a range of paints with such amazing coverage and loads of new interesting colours to choose from. So if you want to learn a little bit more about them, I'm going to leave them linked below, so if you want you can check them out. Anyway, this is how the paint looked after only one coat, but as you can see, it's still drying here, so I had to show my Nan what it looked like.
I'm coming.
Okay, come on.
Oh my god.
Like,
What a difference. The difference is just amazing.
nice colour.
Absolutely amazing. Oh wow. It's really lovely, isn't it? Yes, you've done an incredible job, darling.
Thank you. Well, don't get too excited, I'll have to finish it first.
Oh, you're a star. It's absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you, Nan, for always hyping me up. What would I do without you? Anyway, moving on. Something I like to do, probably the wrong way around, but I prefer doing it this way, is to fill the holes after the first coat of paint. It helps me to see where the imperfections are and the areas that need touch-ups. I mixed some filler to do this, and I also had to tackle this ginormous hole in the wall where there used to be a sink. So for this section I stuffed it with newspaper first, as directed by the decorator who did the ceilings, and then I mixed up a really thick batch of filler and used a wallpaper scraper to fill it in and let it dry overnight before adding a second patch of paint over the top of it the next day. There were a few pipes here as well that we haven't been able to tackle yet, but I will be disguising them later on in the video. With the walls complete, it was time to turn my attention to the floor, and this is what I was working with. It's safe to say that I'm just not looking forward to this at all. So to prepare, I started by hammering any loose nails into the floorboards, securing any loose floorboards, and then I swept up as much of the dust and debris that I could from the floor. Oh my gosh, this is shocking, including onto the skirting boards, of course, as well, to make sure that I got all of it. To avoid uprooting Nan's life for the sake of this room makeover, I decided to try using my detail sander instead of renting an industrial sander. I just wanted to see how well it could do the job with 40 grit papers attached, and to my surprise, it worked so much better than I expected. I was able to buff out almost all of the old paint stains and get rid of a thick layer of 30-year-old dirt without having to strip the boards back completely, which I think was really nice because they didn't lose too much of their colour and their charm, and it was also very nice because I didn't have to battle with an industrial sander, so it's a win-win. Okay, I have done 4 floorboards. They're looking a lot better. They're not perfect, but they are looking definitely a lot better. I'm going to keep cracking on, and I'll update you when I've come a little bit further. I did the floors over the course of about 4 or 5 days, which is why I'm a bit slow to upload videos at the moment. This project is eating a lot of my time, but it's so worth it. Anyway, I had to split the room in half and tackle one side at a time as the furniture was too heavy to move out completely. So I sanded the first half, vacuumed, then stained it using this oak finish floor stain. I let it dry overnight and repeated the process on the other side of the floor. Remember, if you want a really smooth finish, to use a light grit sandpaper in between coats, and then you'll get that really soft, smooth finish on the floor.
All in this, I stand alone. Show me where the ending goes. Honestly don't. I should be the.
What are you doing? What are you doing? I left the tape on the windows and the baseboards to protect them from the sanding dust. Normally I would take this off just before the paint dries to get a nice clean finish, but it was fine. I was also really excited to peel it off, but sadly it ended up being less than satisfying as the tape fell apart in my hands. It just kind of crumbled. I will never stray away from frog tape again, I promise. Gotta love frog tape. This was not the one. Now that the walls and floor were finished, it was time to see the room come together and do a few DIYs. Because the shops were still closed, we styled the whole space using furniture that Nan already had and loads of bits and pieces from my own house as well. Between us, we have enough junk to start our own car boot sale, but it's very helpful for styling videos like this. The best thing I did in this whole makeover was install these beige Hessian curtains over the large sash window. The window has blinds, and it's always had blinds, but I felt like it was missing something until the curtains went up. I can't believe the difference that they made. These were from a shop in Italy a few years ago, and I brought them back in my suitcase and never had a place for them, so now they've got a place, which is nice. I also removed these old IKEA decorations from the light cable, which I wish I'd never put up because they were such a pain to get off. Anyway, the next thing that I had to do was the box bed. It was a bit ugly, so I covered it with a cover from Dunelm. I think this was the only thing that we got new, and then had to put the massive mattress back on as well. I tried a few different rugs underneath the bed, but a few of them were too small, so we ended up settling on this large striped IKEA rug that used to be in my dining room. I actually hated this rug for such a long time, but seeing it in here, it looks completely different, and I've heard that geometric and striped rugs are making a comeback, so with Nan's help we got the rug in place and it was on to the first DIY.
I want to create a DIY headboard for my Nan's guest bedroom. However, I am trying to do this using things that we already have, and I remembered that I have this bad boy. This is a headboard that I made for myself for this room when I first moved into the house. I've since replaced it because I found a beautiful lilac one in a charity shop, and this one's just been sitting behind my sofa for a really long time, waiting for a new home. And if you want to see the tutorial on how I made this from scratch, I'm going to leave the video linked below. Essentially, it's just a piece of MDF, some wadding and some material, and then I folded over the edges and stapled it into place. This is the fabric that I found. I purchased this on Etsy. I was searching for ages for the right fabric. This is a really beautiful purpley pink colour with delicate white florals on it that I think will be really fun to pattern clash with. I actually really love the old headboard, and just in case we change our minds one day and we want it back the way that it used to be, I'm not going to take the original fabric off. I'm just going to staple the new fabric over the top. Oh no, the staple stuck. This isn't going to work, is it? Sorry for disrupting this DIY, but the staple gun I was using was missing a piece and completely broken. So I ran out and I got a new one. So it's another day now and we're gonna finish this headboard.
At this point I was really wondering if I would ever finish the headboard, but I did get there in the end. As you can see, what I'm doing is folding the fabric over in the back and stapling it in place, pulling it really tightly to avoid any wrinkles. For the corners, I pulled them in tightly at an angle, flattened them neatly and stapled them in place, making sure that the folds were even on the sides. You can't see the back of the board when it's on the bed, but you can see the sides, so it's worth investing some time to make them look as good as they can. Before installing, I gave the piece a quick steam with my steamer. This little gadget is my number one. I love it. So now we're ready to talk about attachments and fixtures. To attach the piece, I was planning on using the same fixtures as in the original video to anchor it to the wall, but Nan actually suggested that I use the old legs of the headboard that was already in the room so that we could fix it to the bed instead. This meant less holes in the wall, so I love this idea. Do check out the other video if you want to see how to fix it to the wall though, but for this we just used these attachments, and all I did was measure the distance that they needed to be apart and took them from the old headboard to screw into the new one. I was then able to attach it to the fixtures that are already on the back of the bed. I love when a job is made simpler, and this is one of those beautiful moments. Just not having to drill things into the wall makes me very happy.
Now let's talk about bedside tables, and this video is slowly descending into me undoing all of my old DIY projects and trying to turn them into something new, but these used to be my bedside tables. You might remember sometime early last year I stripped them back as I'd painted them and I gilded the top. But one of you lovely commenters told me that these tables are actually worth a small fortune. I found them on eBay for £199. I know since I painted them I'll never get them back to pristine condition, which is why we don't paint wood furniture on this channel anymore. No, big no, not painting any wood furniture. No, no thank you. £199. Anyway, I'm going to attempt to take the gold leaf off because it doesn't really go with what I'm planning for this room. Let's get cracking. I tried acetone to get this off, it didn't work. We're going in with a very light grit sandpaper.
The gold leaf came off really easily with the light grit sandpaper, and it didn't damage the top, which I was very, very pleased about. A quick coat of stain and the drawer fronts looked almost as good as new. I added the handles back on and placed one on either side of the bed. I am a sucker for symmetry and I love matching bedside tables. They can be quite hard to find in the charity shops, so I was really pleased that I could reuse these ones. Now onto a few finishing touches in the room to get it looking ship shape. Once again, all of the items we used were things we already had, so this was a fun challenge, and luckily Nan has a lot of paintings by my uncle and my mum and loads of people lying around, so I was able to utilize some of these to add more of a personal touch. The throw and the throw pillows were from my house, and the vintage linens on the bed are actually my great grandmother's, which made this project feel extra special. All I had left to do was to hide those pipes with a giant plant pot to ensure that no one would trip on them until they can be seen to a bit later, and add a few more styling bits around the room. This is how the bedroom turned out. This project was a labour of love. It ran over the course of about 3 weeks, but I'm so pleased with how I was able to dedicate so much time to it because my nan seemed really happy with how it turned out, and I'm so pleased as well. It was a project that was close to my heart, and after a very, very difficult year for both my nan and I, it's been projects like this that have kept us going. And yeah, the thought of having a guest room for family to stay in when it's safe to do so is also a really nice feeling. So there's no final surprise shot of Nan seeing the room, as she's been helping me with little bits for the last few weeks, and I don't think I would have been able to keep her out of here for 3 weeks, but I think it's safe to say that she really likes it and the space has come a long way in 3 weeks' time.
Well, that is everything for today's video. This is how the bedroom turned out. I'm so pleased I could turn my childhood bedroom into something a little bit more grown up and something that my nan can love as well. I think this is gonna have to be my new filming space. Look at this. Look at that, it's great. I might have to move in. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you to Benjamin Moore for sponsoring today's video. If you want to know a little bit more about their stockists in the UK, check out the link in the description. And with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching. Happy decorating, and I'll see you next time. Bye.